Brian, stop the tape.
Okay, Mike. Oh, wait, rewind that scene, please.
Rewind that scene.
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 I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Brian Bonds.
And this is the Rewind That Scene podcast. Where we go back in time to our favorite cult classic movies of the 80s and 90s and dissect and talk about our favorite scenes and favorite movies that we grew up on. Right, Bonds? Baby Bond?
Yeah. And if you haven't heard it before, welcome. And if you're one of our fellow listeners, welcome back.
Yes. This one's very special, as you can see in the title on the thing. Big Trouble in Little China. I know we say every movie's our favorite,
best.
but I mean, come on, Bonds, Baby Bond. This is what, top 5? Top 3?
Yeah. I'd say top 3. I mean, you got magical forces in this.
Uh-huh.
You got betting going on in the beginning of the movie with the Pork Chop Express.
fucking
you got
bottle.
Kurt Russell. You got Kim Cattrall. You got Lopan.
Young Kim
you got
Cattrall.
Fucking, yeah, and you got Victor Wong.
Yes.
Rest in peace. He died on 9/12/2001. I love Victor Wong.
He's the best.
What an amazing, he's amazing. Yeah, he runs the Egg Foo Young Tours. I mean, this is San Francisco Chinatown to the fullest, this movie. This movie does not fuck around. Directed by the
John
King,
Carpenter.
John Carpenter.
Yeah. And I guess that this is really the true definition of a cult classic because it didn't take off, right, in the theaters. It was kind of like it didn't do as well as it should have, which is unfortunate for decked out Carpenter.
Yeah.
Come on. This is a decked out Carpenter.
This is a special movie that gained that unique following and has a lot of buzz. I mean, amazing soundtrack.
Yeah.
Again, John Carpenter did it.
Yep.
But also amazing artistry from the actors in this film.
Oh, my God. All of it across the board. And I mean, let's talk about who we have, right? Peter Kwong, man. Part of the Three Storms.
This guy is no bullshit. He is the most realist dude we've spoken to on the podcast.
Yep.
And ultimately, just to learn about his upbringing, how he landed this role, and also bringing his true passion in from the northern side of the Shaolin moves. We got a lot of questions and a lot of love, and dreams do come true, and this is one of them.
Dude.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Peter Kwong.
Please teach us the sword magic.
Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Kwong on the show today. Give it up for him. He's the best.
Rain!
Yeah. Wow.
Good afternoon. This is a Shaolin salute. It represents the Yang for the fist for fighting, Yin for the powers that represent peace and love. And so we greet each other that we will not fight today.
Nice. It's such an honor to meet you.
Growing up with Big Trouble in Little China, all your movies, Gleaming the Cube, a million movies that we're obsessed with. Let's talk about maybe some of the beginning stories of how you landed this role and your path to acting and working in this iconic cult movie.
Yeah.
Well, let me get in answering your question, getting from the genesis of how I got into show business in the first place, because I think that is the intention of my movement, if you will, of my career path and why I got into show business. I started off as a biological science major. So I did the Krebs cycle. I did the Chem 1A, Chem 1B, botany. And then in the middle of college, I switched over to theater arts. Why? Because I recognized the inherent covert and overt racism that affected our society, our community, that affected my parents, affected me personally. And the message is the medium. And we must take efforts to change that. And I felt that approaching drama, theater arts was the best way to viscerally and emotionally impact the audience and change the world, because celluloid and television is forever. Then I came down to LA, started off 1-day jobs and 2-day jobs and a week jobs, and one thing builds to the other, then getting into the unions, and then getting into seeing that I wanted to change that face. I was always an advocate to help people. That's just the way I was raised and my culture as well. So as a result, I ran, when I saw injustice happening, necessity being the mother of invention, I had to be a participant. And so I joined all these committees and ran for a board of directors at Screen Actors Guild, AFTRA, and became a 10-year national board of directors. And then I switched over from there after kind of semi-retiring from there, I went into the TV Academy and the Motion Picture Academy and served 2 terms as a governor of the Performers Peer Group at the TV Academy, and currently serving on the executive committee and the actors branch of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. That being said, came my opportunity to audition for Big Trouble in Little China. A couple of my friends gave me a call and said, Peter, they're casting for martial artists for this new movie. I go, okay. So I took my bag of weapons. There was like a panel, if you will. John Carpenter was there. Tossed my bag of weapons down on the floor. Clunk!
Oh.
That's in case I don't get the job.
Great.
So
Good.
I did my stuff. And I guess when you type, 100 words a minute, you go where you're needed, right? So there I was doing the sword work and flying through the air and doing the combination of Northern Shaolin, which I felt in terms of martial arts disciplines, my studying several styles of martial arts, Hong Kun Siulong, which is Tiger Crane, Yao Gongwen Siulong Pai, which is a similar style to White Eyebrow style, where your knees are brought in and you fight very close combat. And then I finally wound up with Northern Shaolin, and Northern Shaolin gave me the visuals that I need to do with this flashiness of kicks and the twirling, and then still had the fighting technique that is required, that the intensity and the explosiveness that people want to see, that dazzles people's eyes. Because even though martial arts like Wing Chun are very good with fighting, it's just not very theatrical. It's all protecting center line. It's not very pretty. It serves its purpose. Then when I auditioned, from what the associate producer, Jim Lau, told me, he said, Peter, when you auditioned, that caught John Carpenter's eye, and he wanted you to come in. And of course, everybody knows, or should know, big fans, that Carter Wong was the first one that he was thinking about. I think most fans know about that. And then he brought me on, and then James Pax came in. And so what was wonderful, I'm going to segue a little bit. I answered that question, but I just want to segue in terms of working with John Carpenter. Amazing opportunity, because he allowed us to bring in a lot of input. So I had direct input on like the sword work, the long hair, the costumes, and paying respects to April Ferry, who recently passed away. Big Trouble in Little China. She was the costume designer, and she had that costume that had all those bamboo slats. It weighed a ton. Can we lighten it somehow? So she took all the bamboo slats and cut them in half. And then that took a lot of the tonnage away from fighting. And then I couldn't do, side kicks. So because it would dig into my ribs. So on the side, she shortened it, the sticks, and then gave me much more room to, move in those situations.
That's great.
So when it came to long hair, I told John Carpenter, I've always fantasized about those old Chinese movies that my parents brought me to and said, yes, this is the way to be a true Chinese hero. And I said, yeah, I'd like to go for that. So the other 2 guys, being from China, they said, we don't want any of that long hair.
Of course.
Right?
That's funny.
And so I wound up an extra hour and a half in makeup every day just to anchor that wig on it. It was like a $3,000 wig at that time. Right now, it must be at $30,000. It came in 3 parts with the sideburns that went back. And this part here was my own hair on the upper sides. And then they had a widow's peak that was hand done, 1 hair at a time. So you won't see, like in the Chinese movie, a straight widow's peak, as they call it. So,
wow.
So that allowed me
oh my God.
fly through the air and flip that hair back.
I'm geeking out over this hair, man.
Well, it was really interesting because there's a scene in Big Trouble. I don't know, it's like after, just before I blew the magic flying balls into Kurt Russell, there it comes when I take my hat off and I flip my hair back, and I could see how that long hair. And then I took some time to work with the materials. For example, the cape, I took time to because when you're moving and you're dealing with not only the visual look, you take on the character. And so I visualized and thought of all these Chinese superheroes. And so I had to work with the cape so it would fly back and forth and it would move as I'm kicking, clear the cape, clear the, the kick that would come along with it. So John Carpenter was so nice to be able to say, Peter, give us whatever you want. And if it fits, we'll put it in. If it doesn't fit, we'll take it out. And nothing was taken out. So
and that's why he's the best.
It was amazing. I really love the man. And I'm sorry that he had such a difficult experience with the film. It came at a very unique time back in when it first came out in '86. It was right on the heels of Year of the Dragon with Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
And the politics was so intense because Year of the Dragon was, because it didn't have the different characters that were full blown, it became more of a racist stereotype, another Chinese gang, and so when ours came up, there was a lot of community unrest. John Carpenter was so open that he said, let's meet with the cast, let's meet with the community, and let's have an open discussion about this. And so he did. And it neutralized the militants of the community because John Carpenter elevated many of the people working on the cast and crew to higher levels. They made Jim Lau and James Liu associate producers. They hired a person to deal with the media and the community as well. And they brought one of the people that they brought in to our community discussions is State Senator March Fong Yu. But in California, I think she was the treasurer of California at the time. So it was a great opportunity with the community and the politics and all that to be addressed well before the start of the movie.
I love that. It just shows the true sense of collaboration, offset. And then I love how he just gave you the stage to do whatever you want because you knew what to do. And you really bring it, and this alleyway scene, it's like, it's a special one. It's probably one that when we first saw, the arpeggiated synthesizer and the alleyway, the water, and just a small space, it's claustrophobic. And you guys, the three of Storms just emerge out of like nowhere. And, what was it like shooting that? It's almost like 1,000 people from everywhere come out of nowhere, and
let me share with you that in John Carpenter's open mind and his love for the genre, as you probably know in your fandom search, and the fans already know, that he appreciated Chinese martial arts and things like that. But when he said, bring your ideas in, the whole cast and crew gave him ideas and attention to detail. So there was that person who created the mystery of the Chinese legends, the ghosts and things like that. Even when you see the title thing, Big Trouble in Little China, and the Chinese words up above, it has great meaning within the details. When lightning dies, right? They threw the Buddha thing on.
Epic death.
He goes, a little electricity comes out. It spells a Chinese word, and many people don't know that it's, number one, it spelled a Chinese word. Number two, that Chinese word was Carpenter.
Oh,
that's a little secret. And then I remember some of the other things that I recall is during the end of the movie when we had to do our ADR work. That's doing the voice and adding, when the sound is not perfectly right. So I had to follow the beep, beep, beep from that.
Oh, like
and
the countdown.
Result,
yeah.
What happened? I had this whole fight sequence with Dennis Dunn at the very end. Where I go flying into the
so
Buddha
good
at the very end. Right? So they had all this fight sequence. And I'm going, all right, this entire fight sequence is about a minute and a half, and we're just going to run and we're going to do it in little pieces because it's just. I said, no, just run the whole thing. I want to see from beginning to end. Watching.
That's hard.
So at the very end, I got it. So they turn on the sound. I hear, and then I'm going with all the grunts and going, hey, yes, yeah, and I'm physically working as quiet as I can so that the audio is perfect, but you don't hear my clothes rustling, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you have to be conscious of that. And I'm flying through the air and making all these sound effects. And then after a minute and a half, they said, "That's amazing. I can't believe you just did that whole run, got every little nuance and sound right at the right point." So it was
Holy crap.
very interesting to see that.
That's
and
amazing.
have fun with that. Oh, and I had an injury on the set.
Oh,
There was
no.
one sequence when I had to do a front kick and then a back kick, one right after the other. So the leg had to go straight over my head and then come back. And what happened is that got all warmed up at the stage over there, 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
And of course, the sound stages are notoriously cold.
Oh.
So it takes so long to set up. By the time they were ready to shoot, I had already cooled down. So here we go, and action. And so I did the kick above, and when I went for the kick behind, I heard a big pop, and I fell to the ground. And I'm going, what the heck's going on? I reached back in the back of my leg, and my hamstring had snapped. And the one part was just, I felt a bunch of flesh right up at the top, and then right around my knee, it kind of separated. So that took me out for a little while. Shoot myself up with a little cortisone and feel no pain.
We were able to still work around that, or you just had to like go down for a week?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Had to.
You had to, yeah, had to keep going.
I wasn't the Kurt Russell. So anyway,
Exactly.
production.
What about you and Kurt Russell? Any good moments that you can share, or good memories or favorite moments that you might remember from? I know it was '86.
He's one of the nicest, generous actors. I remember one time, after sometime during the film, he had a cold, so but he had to stay. But when he didn't, he always had his doors open. And I remember, I don't know where it is right now. I probably lost it somewhere during the course of all this time. At the very end of the production, he gave us a little truck. It was a Pork Chop Express, a little model of it. So
I want that.
I still have my jacket from Big Trouble in Little China with the Peter Rain,
God, I love
and then
that.
the Big Trouble on emblem right there. So
Beautiful.
and then I'm still going to some of the conventions that we have around. The last one I went to was the Greater Austin Comic-Con. And then just prior to that, I went to the Pensacola Con in Florida. And that was a lot of fun to meet and greet the fans. And at both of them, I was with James Hong.
Yes.
So James Hong and I have a wonderful relationship. I worked with James Hong several times.
He's the best.
He played my father. He played my enemy, things like that. So we've been in different shows like A-Team and back in the day, and I did a movie with him called Ghost. I forget what the name of it. It's on my resume. You'll look it up. But
great.
So it was just really a fun time with James Hong. We do this thing at the where he comes out and we sort of have a dance off, right? Because he loves to dance too, just for fun. Right? And I'm getting swords, right? And then I twirl my swords. Oh, hang on for a second.
Yeah.
You never know.
You
never
brought
know
it
when
out. Oh my God.
Wow.
Dude, I was hoping you would do this.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Oh my God.
See, how often do you put that into your podcast?
Never.
Never. This is the first.
Point of view, knife to the throat. Okay.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I've on different cameo requests, besides saying hello and happy birthday and all of that, I teach them, certain techniques of martial arts, right? And one of the secrets to proper sword technique and any kind of weapon work is what we call flowers. Okay, this is called a small flower. And that's usually in wrist action and locking techniques. This is a medium flower right in here. And that deals with Tai Chi. And then this is a large flower that deals like Northern Shaolin and any large movements. So we're dealing in circles. And I teach them to keep that wrist together and strike through center line and parry, strike, parry, strike, parry, strike, parry. And before you know it, you've got your full things. And you can do it at arm's length with the wrists together. You can do it at the elbows. And then you can do it at the full body. When Big Trouble in Little China, Lopan orders the three storms to come out and do their thing, right? And I come up with my sword, one sword style, and then go into my sword technique. Is this where all those things come together? And this is what I show some of the fans. They said, I want to learn a little close-up magic of all these martial arts techniques. So
wow,
beautiful.
That's what I do.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, your technique obviously shows it's so authentic, and that's great that you spread that with the cameo messages.
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
really cool.
And the other thing is that a lot of times people say, you know, during Big Trouble in China, they hired over 100 martial artists. And the question is, do we shoot it like a Hong Kong movie, or do we shoot it, you know, a lot of close-ups? And John Carpenter, the way did, you know, apply the different techniques. You can see Jim Lau doing his Wing Chun there. You can see me doing my Northern Shaolin with the sword techniques and things like that. And so you see different disciplines, everything from Japanese martial arts to Korean, and then, you know, you saw a lot of Taekwondo. There was one of the actors / stuntmen, Wing Chang Sing characters, were doing the kick one after another. It was just really appreciating the different disciplines that you can see in Big Trouble in Little China. When you look closely, you can see the difference.
Is there anything that you're working on now? You know, I know you're on the board of these places and stuff, like things that you're passionate about, messages you want to send out to people?
We are living in difficult times, as you know. Post-COVID, the politics are crazy, and I've seen the evolution of what's going on in the film and television industry. And being part of the TV Academy, being part of the Motion Picture Academy, I tried to seek out the change. So within the Motion Picture Academy, there is a effort and a desire to be more diverse. Starting with, because when I first joined the Motion Picture Academy, I walked into the theater where they have their screenings and my mouth hit the floor. I couldn't believe I saw like a sea of old white men with their walkers. And
Yeah, I bet.
And that was the voting body. And so I've been a member of at that time was called the Foreign Language Committee. Now it's called the International Language Committee, because we are global, we are not foreign to ourselves. It's all about the words, right? And so we see that change back. The first Chris Rock incident, I don't know if you remember the first, the slap heard around the world.
Yeah.
The first one was when they brought in those 3 Asian kids, part of the opening ceremony. And they played the role of being Price, Waterhouse, and Cooper. And so that stereotype, and then right after, within the same telecast, was Ali G doing those horrible Asian jokes about those little yellow men with the small dicks. And it was horrible. I'm talking about the Minions. That's why. So a group of the Asian members of the Academy marched up to the CEO's office and demanded an apology from not only the Academy, but from the CEO and the president. We got it. And we were part of that initiation of the A2020 movement. By the year 2020, 50% of increase in people of color and 50% increase of women. We're now going to the A2025 thing, which is to go global. And this last Academy nomination period, we got votes from 95 countries all over the world as part of members of the Academy. So we can seriously say that art and the reflection of what is considered the best in our cinema is from a global point of view and not just from a US point of view, which is something that I've been fighting for, to have this face be representative of not a foreign entity, but I'm all American.
Yes.
Believing in truth, justice, and the American way. And I don't mean back in the day, I meant right now.
Yes.
Believing in the way I do about our diversity, when I grow up in life, having influence from all over sources. So I combine it's not cultural appropriation where I steal from it, but they say that imitation is the highest form of flattery, right? So, and back in the day, I entered a lot of dance contests because I grew up in a school that was 33% white, 33% black, 33% Hispanic, and only 1% Asian. And that being said, I picked up a little bit from everything. And so I learned how to, pop lock, hip hop, and robotics and do that. And so I entered a lot of dance contests and
Incredible.
So that's what I'll leave off, is that life is about fusion and appreciating other people and yourself at the same time. One delicate balance that I always try to say is that it's one thing to do your own thing, because that's what America tells you, to be creative and express yourself. But on the Eastern culture, you say, no, do things for other people. So there is a delicate balance of respecting yourself and being self-expressive, and a culture of being considerate. And so when you balance the two, then you have giving and taking and saying, this is who I am. I don't need to be apologetic for who I am. But at the same time, I respect your boundaries. I respect you. And we have an opportunity to listen to each other.
Oh, did he get you the sword in the eye?
He got it in my throat.
Oh.
He put his sword in my throat.
Dude.
He pulled a rein on me.
Did we just get the full
What an
rein?
intro.
Oh, my God.
Dude, what an intro, right, man? Holy shit, nobody's fucking pulled out swords on this show before.
That's the first. That is definitely the first on this show.
And what a cool experience to hear about how John Carpenter got involved with the local neighborhood and, really utilized, any politics that were going around.
And really cared about
sure
it.
That everyone...
And wanted to make sure everyone was comfortable and everyone was heard. Oh, my God.
Yeah, and I really liked that Tibbety said that Kurt Russell always had his trailer open, his door open. And if anybody wanted to approach him.
Oh, I wish I could walk into that trailer. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I would get that white tank top on.
Yeah, Pork Chop Express,
great,
all in the reflexes, baby.
It's true.
Yeah.
And also all the other stuff that Peter said too about how to, these are like life practices approaching 40 years old. You really want to know how to really have a good mindset, right? And even learning a good sort of ritual, some great Tai Chi, which he does a lot. I mean, these are things that are just priceless and really will make you feel better overall. I mean, and I love that he's so involved still in the film industry, Riz.
It's so important, man, to make that change and do that. So thank you, Peter, for spearheading that. The people need it. The film industry needs a pretty good change. Brian has a new microphone, everyone.
Yeah, I'm using this new microphone.
How do you guys think he sounds?
I'm holding it like this and like this. And
he looks more like a talk show.
Yeah.
Nice.
I actually used this live on stage, and now I'm bringing it to the pod.
Beautiful. So well, we just wanted to say, maybe we should plug the next episode, right? After this?
Yeah, we got some exciting people coming up.
Yeah,
and,
we're gonna do one on the Warriors, right?
Oh yeah. And we're also doing one with our homeboy Keith Coogan as well.
Oh, Keith Coogan, everybody. So stay tuned for that.
All-Star 80s King.
That's right. Any other 80s, 90s actors, directors, please hit us up. Follow us on social medias at Bobo Touch. Check out our other work. We do comedy, parodies, music.
And also life tips.
Yeah.
And we're both parents, so if you ever need help on how to change a diaper or calm a child down, DM us.
Okay. Bye.